Let's start this segment by taking a look at the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, where the major story is a sad situation of 2 killed in Abuja school bombing, and police arrest the proprietor and urge vigilance. You find this on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Below the headlines there, we see Boko Haram attacks military base and kills soldiers, vigilantes in Borno. Cuts corporate taxes to 19%. Nasima tells Tinubu. Disengaged staff sue CBN. Demand compensation. Now, this is really, a very dicey situation, considering the CBN said there was no pushing of anybody to come and, quit their job. If it's your initiative, if you want to, then they give you the room for it. Now, below the major story, we see the pictorial of, students that even survived that explosion. Some of the victims here of the Almajiri Sangaya School, Kochibiyu Community, Kubwa, Abuja, yesterday. Also below the pictorial, we see Nigerian screens air travelers as HMPV spreads to more countries. A really scary outbreak there. AFCC sacks 27 officers over fraud. Ibadan stampede culprits must face trial. That's according to the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde. Security operative destroy 2 IEDs in Niger community. Now, these are some of the stories that you'd find on the Daily Trust today.
All right, now moving on to Vanguard. Boldly, 1,000 face life-threatening ailments from lead poisoning. Varsity dons, medical practitioners raise concerns. Ebonyi government flays federal government poor supervision of minors, and it laments minors' failure to implement agreements and communities to provide amenities. Still on Vanguard, Abo tanker explosion. I saw my wife on the ground burning. Court orders Okpebelo Edo Assembly to maintain status quo. Now we have, after NERC approval, Aba Power hikes electricity tariff by 120%. I have received threat messages, says Peter Obi. Now, obedient raised alarm over APC's threat to Obi's life business, and APC absolves spokesman. Now, on sport, Osimhen is rated highest player in Turkish Super League. Go Nigeria. APC chieftain, mother, child, 2 others shot dead in Ondo cult war. And then Sokoto SSG loses daughter, 3 grandchildren, and house help to fire. Those are the stories we have on the front pages of Vanguard.
All right, quickly into The Guardian, where major story is on the 3 MBPD target. 49.7 trillion naira budget rests on new FIDs and secure oil assets. Now, below there is an infography of the details of that, where below that we have 80 bandits killed in Katsina as hoodlums levies on feral communities. Local government court orders Okpebolo House to maintain status quo. MDA's defend spending as NAS eyes January ending for budget approval. Have I really crossed the line? Obi queries alleges threat to life. Lassa fever, NCDC expects and experts raise alarm and advocate prevention and early treatment. Culprits of Ibadan stampede must face trial. Makinde vows. Medical lab scientists in limbo over AAU MLSCN quota role. Now, these are some of the stories you'd find on the Guardian newspaper. Now, we have in the studio Dr. Theophilus Abba, the program director of Daily Trust Foundation, joining us to analyze the front pages. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
And
Happy New Year.
Good to have you in the studio with us.
Thank you.
All right, we hope the year brings joy for us and growth for the country in general.
Amen. Amen.
All right, let's talk about this bomb situation that happened just yesterday morning around 11 in school in Abuja community, talking about Kubwa. What is your take on the outcome and out of nowhere a child picking an explosive from the ground and bringing to his classmates?
Okay, quite unfortunate that it's happening again. I use the word again because we became, when we started hearing about IED, that was in 2009, 2010. If you remember, maybe some of you were not in the newsroom then, but we were in the newsroom. Boko Haram started, around that period, and we heard some guys had come from Pakistan, from Afghanistan to teach them how to produce IEDs. and initially, the thing was exploding on their faces. They were dying, and that was actually the signal that something bad was going to happen. And after that, we started hearing about Boko Haram's attacks using IEDs. We didn't even know what IED meant, until then. And for us to, in 2025, talking about IEDs in Abuja. If you remember, an IED was used to attack the police headquarters, the UN premises in Abuja here, and several locations in Abuja, IEDs were used. And we thought that that's already in the past. And this is the Federal Capital Territory, even though they say it's a village and all this and all that. It's a Federal Capital Territory. Now, but the shocking thing is that we are not even seeing Boko Haram as the one who has planted this IED. We are looking at it in an innocent school environment where children learn how to recite, the scripture, So it's shocking that this kind of a thing will happen in that environment, because it will tell you that the kind of teaching, the kind of doctrination that is going on may not be the one that is good for those children. You are teaching children, the scriptures, and then you are now, maybe teaching them how to use IEDs, or maybe talking to them to use IEDs to attack. So you see that young lady, if you read the story, they brought something innocently to her and said, just keep it here, give 200 naira, blah, blah, 100 naira. We were just arguing. Then the thing went off. And the person who brought it was affected. You understand? So it's not a good development for us in Abuja. Because if it has happened there, it means that it's not a coincidence. Some persons are deliberately doing it. It's an intentional thing. And we fear that it won't be only in that place. There may be other places that we don't suspect that those things will happen. If you remember, there was a time that even those who were pushing trucks were being given IEDs to use. You get to bus stations, you see IEDs being used, marketplaces, IEDs being used, to attack. We thought that was actually behind us now, but then we are discovering that even in Abuja, and if you remember, there's a story in Niger State where IED was also used. So there's a revival, let me use that one now, of use of IEDs now, by some, let me say, people who are, aligned to terrorist thinking.
It is ongoing right now, because Niger State government has even asked communities and restricted movement in some areas because there is implanted a lot of mines.
And it's quite unfortunate. It's not a good development. And this is a new year. You are thinking that you'll be hearing, stories that are a bit positive. Then we are hearing things that we used to hear in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. We are now hearing this same thing in the FCT in 2025.
All right.
Which is not good for us as a country.
Truly, indeed, it's not good for us as a country, especially when it comes to our proactive nature towards handling things like this. We expect that further investigation should have been done. It should have been proactive measures. But now we're looking at the story on Vanguard. Thousands face life-threatening ailments from lead poisoning, and it's been linked to the inability to regulate the mining sector. What is your take on how Nigeria is handling the mining sector so far? Are we sitting on a ticking time bomb?
Well, if you look at how the mining sector, it's being handled at the moment, I think there's a whole lot of laxity on the part of the authorities. The mining sectors, is seen as a kind of a cash cow, and it's too liberal. If you go to some of these mining communities, you see some Chinese, some guys who we don't even know anything about them. They come there, they need to dig holes, and they say they are looking for gold, they are looking for that, and then nobody is regulating what they do. Now, for you to know how mining is supposed to be done, I watched a documentary, done by the CNN on Mongolia, where they did mining, and I saw that, you see, it's a huge industry. There was something like a complex, where these things are processed. You had a housing estate, you had water facility, you had medical facilities provided. You have staff boards that will take guys to mining sites. You have all sorts of control systems. But in Nigeria, the kind of mining that we do now, you just get some young men, or yeah, start digging. And they'll be using that energy to dig and come up with whatever you call gold or whatsoever natural resource they are looking for. Then you give them some small amount of money. You know, they don't even care what they are inhaling. You know, and the mining activity is so rampant now to the point that it's like it's a no man. There's no control. We keep hearing theories about what government to do and talking about the future. You know, I keep talking about government of future tense. We are going to do this, we're going to do that, I'm going to do this. There's no control.
But what about the MOU that the president just signed with
I think he signed an MOU with the French, is that not?
Yeah.
The French, but we are still, you know, this MOU has to mature. You know, we need to see these companies come. We need to see where they are going to operate. We need to see, you know, how, because if you sign an MOU, it may take quite some time. Some companies will come and do studies to know where I mean, you have these mineral resources at what we call commercial quantity, you know, for them to now put in their money, invest their money and all this and all that. But the first thing is to control, you know. You can't say, oh, you have gold here, and somebody will now bring whole a contract, I mean, cutlass and whatsoever, and start digging. And then you cannot, nobody can say stop. They will say, oh, we have a license. If you had a license, under what condition are you supposed to do the mining based on your license? Yeah. And who is supervising you? We hear, oh, there's no supervision. So people are just making their money. You have politicians making money, traditional rulers making money, young men making money. And then the one that we hear about mining in Zamfara, Niger State, where bandits are now, I mean, being used to protect mining sites. And then, I mean, they also mine and make money. That is not how to run a government. Because there's no territory of Nigeria that you can say you ceded to bandits. If you have not ceded territory to them, there must be a control. So I'm feeling that, you know, we need to come out. Government needs to take things seriously. You know, you don't just look at the situation and say, there's nothing we can do about it. People are making money from it. Let's not stop them. If we stop them, they will not vote for us in the next election. You know, but that's not how to run the system.
Indeed. I mean, talking about government taking things seriously, let's talk about the budget. The National Assembly has given that 7th January is when they would officially start, you know, budget defense. And one of the major concerns is that in previous budget defense, head of MDAs do not even come. And for me, I know that these are, you know, the executive. We're talking about legislative. I mean, these are people that should put the law and control. And if there seems to be no regard for them, then we are in deep trouble. So what is your take on the Senate? Because we've seen some of them come out to say, if MDA's head don't come, then we know they don't really need the money. That's the only threat we're seeing from that. What's your take on how much we need when it comes to budget accountability and transparency, especially for this 49.7 trillion naira of 2025 budget?
Well, let's start from the MDAs. Head of MDAs not coming to defend their budget. Now, if they didn't come to defend their budget, why would the National Assembly pass that budget? You understand? So it means that the National Assembly are not taking their own jobs seriously. They are handling it with levity. Because, you see, if an MDA, you know, is supposed to come and defend his budget, and it does not come to defend the budget, and then the National Assembly say, okay, let's put money here, let's put money there. Because what we hear is that, you know, the National Assembly members, you know, demonstrate interest in some of this budget. I say, okay, let's plant 1 naira here, let's plant 2 naira here. And so as soon as the budget is let's put this money out. Although that is at the level of speculation, but then we keep hearing that. Now, if you have demonstrated that you don't even respect your position, you don't respect your responsibility in government, and that you use your position to benefit yourself, it means that those that you call CEOs of MDAs will say, I will not go. If I go there now, they will ask me to bring money. If I go there now, they will be planting their own. Let them do whatever they want to do. When the budget comes out, we implement it. But we need, like you use the word accountability. Now, the National Assembly has the responsibility of passing this budget on behalf of the Nigerian people. They must ensure that this budget aligns with, you know, the vision of the government, objectives of this current government. Because every budget should have an objective. You have things you want to achieve at the end of the year. No, if you are looking at the budget, look at it from that perspective. Oh, the president says infrastructure. How much is voted for infrastructure? Then how much is needed for infrastructure? You know, somebody raised an issue recently. You are talking about a budget for the National Assembly I mean, for Nigeria. Now, one agency of government got for 50-something billion to build a medical facility, but the Ministry of Health has the budget of 500 and something billion. Now, for that means the health of the whole of Nigeria, what you are putting into that health sector for the whole of Nigeria is 500 and something billion. Now divide that 500 and something billion by 230 million.
And just for one person.
Yes.
So there seems to be a clash.
Yes. Then you now have only one agency of government that gets 50-something billion. It does not align.
It doesn't make sense.
It does not align. Now, if you are talking about construction, road construction, and how much are you voting, I mean, for the construction of roads, and how much should be voted? Because if you go to the BPP, procurement, there is supposed to be a benchmark. If you now say a 10-kilometer road is going to be constructed for, let's say, 50 billion, and the BPP says, okay, 1 kilometer should not be more than 1 billion. Why are you voting 50 billion for 10-kilometer road?
These are the things that
should be looked into.
That the MDAs are needed to come and respond to.
If you do this seriously as a National Assembly, MDAs will sit up. MDAs will sit up.
Okay.
But if you now say, oh, let's see, okay, it's 10 billion, we know this money is too much, then put 5 billion for us. If you don't want us to cut it, put 5 billion for us. And then they say, okay, sir, you're honorable, we'll do it. So they will not respect you. They know that you are a pastor.
You've basically just covered it. The strength is on the National Assembly, so they should do better and everything would move forward. Always truly a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's good to always have you with us on the show, for always opening our eyes, especially when it comes to issues of the budget. I love the way you follow the money on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show this morning. It was quite good to have you. Thank you so much for giving us access to your living room this morning. I hope we've been able to inform you, educate you, and at the same time keep you updated on things happening in the country. My name is Lilian Ogazi, and as we go, I would say, do well to constantly and always keep yourself informed. Get, your news and your information from confirmed news sources before you share them. Let us find one way or another to tackle misinformation in our own little way. I am Lilian Ogazi.
And I am Sumaya Abubakar. Thank you so much for staying with us. Please do stick around. Top of the hour, Adeni Ajishafe would bring you 360 Sport. Do have a lovely Tuesday.